Hey guys and fellow whiskey lovers, welcome to Malt Mariner's Whiskey Roads. I am on the road again in Canada this time, and I'm hosted by...
So my name is Graeme Macaloney, Dr. Graeme Macaloney, the founder and master whiskey maker, all the way from Scotland, but here now in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, on the west coast or on the Pacific Ocean.
Great, and now we're gonna have a look at the Macaloneys Distillery. Let's go.
And then this is our distillery bar.
Ooh, beers, music and whiskey. All the best things. Macaloneys Distillery.
Yep. So I'll maybe start off with my background, if that's
Yes.
okay. So originally born and bred in Scotland. At the end of high school, I had a summer job with the Black and White Whisky Factory. If you remember that old brand, the Black and White Whisky. And at that point, I was going to university, and inspired me to study fermentation at a Scottish university called Strathclyde University in Glasgow. Professor said I should upgrade my degree, so did a master's in biochemical engineering, and then ended up with a PhD in fermentation. I thought I was all set to work in the whiskey or beer industry. Applied for jobs and was promptly told I'm overqualified. So I ended up working in biotechnology and pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
And amazingly similar processes, in my opinion, as an engineer, making beer, making whiskey, making antibiotics, insulin, growth hormone, they're quite similar, believe it or not. Came out to Canada in 1989, working in biotechnology, lifetime whiskey connoisseur. And ultimately I was inspired to start up a distillery. Had no money, had to remortgage my house. We came here to Victoria because of the tourism. It's fantastic for tourism. And to raise money, I went across Canada to whiskey clubs, met ultimately 700 whiskey enthusiasts who all invested in this distillery.
Wow.
Right? And then recruited Dr. Jim Swan, the famous Scotch whisky expert. He worked previously with Cavallan, Kilchoman, Cotswolds, Milk and Honey, Virginia, etc. We were his second last project. So with a PhD in fermentation, I know enough to be dangerous. I know enough to surround myself with great expertise. So Jim Swan, part of it. Also, fortuitously, a master distiller from Diageo, Mike Nicholson, retired to Victoria. And Mike used to be the master distiller at Lagavulin, Kalila, Blair Athol, Glenkinchie. And he worked in about 17 Diageo distilleries as a distiller. Retired to Victoria, knocked on his door, coming out of retirement. Can you work with me? So I had a great team to design the distillery, to design the whiskey process. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that really kind of, formulated all of that. I'm the one that makes the whiskey on a go-forward basis. So my role here is the master whiskey maker. Yes, I'm originally the founder. I'm a very small part owner with 700 investors. But my key role now is the master whiskey maker. Okay, so we'll go on a tour then. Excuse me, please. And a couple of things really to show you outside to start off. We bring in the grain, it's basically pale malt, 2-row barley, malted barley for the single malt whiskey. It's Canadian barley, it's better than that rubbish European barley, by the way. We can talk about that later if you would like. But we bring that in bulk, both for the beer and for the pale malt, pale ale, IPA, and whiskey wash. It's all the same barley. This is the peat smoker, so Some of our whiskies are peat smoked, some are just classic single malts with no peat, and then some are Irish triple distilled pot still style, right? So that means then that we're dealing with single malt barley that we peat smoke here at the distillery, but we also bring in farmers' barley, unmalted, and use that for the pot still whiskey. So we'll talk about the 3 different sources. But this is, I wanted to be able to use Canadian barley because it's got bigger flavours. It's not been designed for high starch, high alcohol, the way Scottish distiller's malt is. Canadian barley is designed for beer, and your audience will know that you got to have the best ingredients for great craft beer. Canadian barley, more flavour, less alcohol, but more flavour.
Cool.
So if I'm using Canadian barley, I can't get it pre-smoked, so I have to smoke it myself.
Ah, okay.
Went back to Islay and studied traditional peat smoking methods at Laphroaig, Bowmore, Kilchoman, and with an engineer's mindset, I realised that I can't do the germination step. It's a floor malting is way too much energy, too much manpower, too variable. So doing a traditional floor malting like you see it, Kilchoman, Laphroaig, Highland Park, too much work, too much inconsistency.
Yes.
So what I decided to do was buy malted barley and then wet it. Once you wet it, then you can smoke it.
Yeah.
That way I control the whole process really tightly. So this unit here then, you'll know that Laphroaig would process 7 metric tons at a time. This unit here, you can smell it, processes 2 metric tons. So this is quite a large scale. It's the largest commercial scale peat smoker outside of Scotland. And there's only a couple in Scotland that do peat smoking, right? As you know, just a handful. So the idea here is we load it up with 2 tons of Canadian malted barley, soak it, drain the water off, and then we smoke it using local peat that we can talk about later.
Oh, interesting.
Because we have a whole terroir project built around different sources of peat.
Cool.
So this gives us control. 30-hour process, very, very similar to Laphroaig's process.
Yeah.
It's a cold smoking. The fire around here, this is the peat fire. It's just a little bit smaller than Laphroaig's peat fire. But
smells really good.
Yeah, you should be able to put your hand above the fire and not burn your hand at Laphroaig or at Macaloneys.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically that also means the peated version, the peated whiskey of you is not peated Scottish malt, which usually in the world, if you buy a peated whiskey, it will be peated malt from Port Ellen or anywhere in the Highlands, basically. So your peat is Canadian peat. Yeah,
well, we'll talk about the peat sources later.
Yes.
Because there's a whole terroir from different terroirs around the world.
Yeah.
I have American peat, Canadian peat, Scottish peat.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
I love that.
And so, but yes, it's Canadian barley. Yeah. In fact, here's this actually is this is some of the Islay peat. You can see it's traditionally cut. Normally it would be about this length, right? And this was cut on the island of Islay in Scotland and then imported to Canada. So you burn the peat here. The fan pulls the smoke and blows the smoke underneath the barley bed. About 30 hours of cold smoking. You get up to 54 parts per million, 54 ppm.
Okay.
So it's a very high spec.
Yeah.
Allowing for octomore as an extreme. So that's the start of the process with the barley sources, if you will.